Yo, what is up, everybody? It is that time. It is time for Shooting the Shit Uncensored. And it is me, your host, the dad bod god himself, the bald, the beard, the fucking beautiful Piers Austin. And tonight, we have a very, very special guest joining the show. It is the J-Stick himself, JXT. But before I bring out JXT making his return to Shooting the Shit Uncensored, it's time to take a quick moment to pay some bills up in this bitch. And first up is healthvape.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Health Vape is your healthy vaping alternative. All of their products are no nicotine, no addictive or harmful chemicals, and they are vitamin infused, guys. So go and check out healthvape.com. Check out some of their vape and pod products. And you know what? Use promo code MWA pod at checkout to receive a 10% discount on your final purchase, guys. Seriously, if you're a smoker, you're a vapor, you're one of those people that, like me, walk around the city chucking up clouds when we're not in lockdown, then this is your way to a healthier life, ladies and gentlemen. Check out healthvape.com. Use that promo code MWA pod to get that 10% discount. But guys, while you're online checking things out, if you're an athlete or someone you know is an athlete, you need to check out sleefs.com. That's SLEEFS. They do armbands, knee guards, headbands, mouth guards, compression pants, compression shorts, compression socks, and they've even got dirty boxes, guys. And I have to say, their dirty boxes are the most comfortable boxes I own. They sent me a ton of these things, guys, and you know what, I'm an active guy. I'm running around most of the days, and they stay fresh, they stay dry, and they are amazing fit. So make sure you check out some of their amazing products and you pod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. But guys, this week has been a big week at the MWA Podcast Network. We launched our website, which is going to be scrolling just below there, mwapodcastnetwork.com, where you can go and find all of our past shows, links to audio and video. You can find our merch store there as well. We got a heap of new designs that have gone up. You're going to be able to get there as we build the site. You're going to get all the news, upcoming shows that we got planned. We'll promote also independent professional wrestling. So if there's an independent promotion that you want to see us advertise for on our website, we'll put links up in our website. We'll help the little guys, because we are the little guys, and all of us little guys need to grow to reach a broader audience of wrestling fans. But also, guys, check out that store, frontiershop.com/MWA World. We got a heap of new merchandise up, guys, from masks, we got baby onesies, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it, we've got it. But also, guys, thank you for tuning in to MWA Podcast Network. We have an amazing bunch of shows going on. You've got Killing the Business with former ECW original, the Kingpin, Angel Medina, and he's partnered up with King Mega, and also can't forget Glenn Sexton as well, the one-ton sex machine. These guys are breaking down everything that's happening in the world of professional wrestling every Saturday at 11 a.m., which is 8 p.m. USA Eastern on a Friday night. So make sure you check that out. Also, check out Get Funked, hosted by former WCW and TNA star Alan Wwe Funk. He is an amazing host and has on some amazing guests. Definitely take you back to the old school WCW feel, talking to a lot of his friends from the WCW power plant era. So guys, make sure you check that out, and also check out Knights of the Gimmick Table with the Dead Presidents, Boogaloo and Lowrider. These guys are a tag team indie legends, bro. They have been up and down the entire United States, from the East Coast to the West Coast, one of the most respected teams in the indies in the US. And every week they're bringing on their friends, guys. They've gone up and down the roads. We're sharing stories, telling some amazing stories as well, guys. So make sure you check out that show. But guys, I can see we've got a few people in the chat. Thank you for tuning in. Kyle Eade, Joshua James. And without further ado, I'm going to bring out my guest, the J-Stick himself, JXT.
What's going on?
Not much, man. Thank you for letting me get through those plugs at the beginning, dude. It's great to have you on, man. The dad bod god. I don't know, like, will it stick, do you reckon?
No, I didn't mind it. Honest. And you said you were dad bod god, the beautiful. I was like, I loved it. Summed it up nicely. Being back for a second episode means I must have done it right first time. And 10 years worth of wrestling, I might have a little bit more to delve into. So I'm glad that even though I've done pretty much nothing since I spoke to you last, there's still a lot to talk about, which is cool.
Oh, absolutely, man. Like I had a great time having you on last time, and I really felt like I think we went for like an hour and 20 minutes. And at the end of it, I was like, shit, have we gone that long already? So
That's a good
yeah, you're
sign.
definitely someone I wanted to get back on for a part two, man. But you know, the world has been a crazy fucking place in the last 4 months, dude, with lockdowns and show cancellations and
Yeah.
and everything else. No interstate travel, and can't even leave, you know, your front door in some
Love
states.
it. Good times, mate. Oh, awesome.
Yeah, man. It's you know you're alive, man. But how have you been keeping sane during this period, man?
So when you feel out of control, you take control of the things that you can control. For my diet, my exercise, my fitness, and my workouts. It's all I can do. So I make sure I work out every day. I've been going for runs, and if anyone knows me, I hate running. I hate exercise. So I've been doing. I've had Jake Navarra, my personal trainer, hit me. I said, Jake, I want a new workout plan. I said, I don't give a shit about strength. I don't give a shit about mobility or health. I just want to get as big and jacked as possible. So he got me this new workout, 2-hour workouts we've been doing and just going for runs. And other than that, just trying to keep sane. You know, I'm a graphic designer, so I've been designing stuff here and there. Work's obviously quiet. But other than that, you know, we do our relentless school of pro wrestling once a week. We do like a Zoom meeting class. But other than that, yeah, it's trying to keep a routine and keep myself going and almost be ready for, if say we could come back tomorrow, be ready for that as best I can.
Yeah. And even, you know, you mentioned relentless. It's like, how do you find, like, in these times, having to then go and have these Skype meetings with, you know, your trainees
Yeah.
once a week, you know, on the days that you don't have that motivation to really turn it up and be like,
Yeah.
have that motivation, that pump, that energy up for your guys?
It's very hard. I spoke with one of our other trainers, the Big Rig, Fox, my tag partner. I was speaking to him. We do him on a Tuesday night, and I was speaking to him on the Tuesday. And he's like, man, sometimes I just can't be bothered with it. It's so hard to keep, like, not so much to keep, like, thinking of content, but just to get it, like you said, to get up for it. But I said to him, I said, no, I said, it is. But once we're in there and you sort of, like, speak to everyone and catch up before you even start, it already, like, motivates you. Because I'm like, these people are not only willing to invest and stay connected with the school, but they're willing to put in this time each week. Like, that's how bad they still want it. And like that, I guess motivation is inspiring. So it keeps us going. And it's been really good to see like how many people have been so engaged during lockdown. It's so hard.
Oh, absolutely. And I think it probably gives someone like people that like something to look forward to every week, being around other like-minded people that, you know, love professional wrestling and can have that experience and that learning about it as well. And there's so much more just besides the in-ring aspects of wrestling that can be really taught as well. It doesn't necessarily have to
Yeah.
be the physical aspect.
Oh, 90% of wrestling is like here. It's in the head and it's not the physical side. Like there's I always say the real working happens outside the ring. So it's been good in a way to sort of shift that focus. But yeah, just like talking to them each week. And like you said, it is inspiring to just have them and have their attitudes. And it's like, wow, these people, they really want it just as bad as we do. And it does. It keeps me going just as much as I'm sure it keeps them going.
Oh, 100%. And have you like, you know, because you've been training these guys for a little while now, you started
It's been
Relentless.
2 years we've been open. Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you find, you know, originally going from being like performer to, you know, being performer and now coach? Was that
Yeah.
an adjustment for you?
Yes. I really struggled at first. Like I think mentally, I was very much like, okay, one, I need to mature and stop. I don't know. I just thought that you need to sort of be more of a role model than ever because you're going to have people that are literally signing up to listen to you and to, you know, take your advice. And not just that, they're going to follow what you do. So I might be a great trainer and say the right things, but if I'm doing the opposite, well, then it contradicts everything that we stand for. So, yeah, it's even still to this day, like I have that whole, like I'm definitely not finished with my career. And I was having this conversation with Fox. I was like, he's very much like he loves training people and helping way more than, and running shows with our students more than he does wrestling himself. And I was like, nah, like I still want to get this and I'm not done. And it was very hard for me to almost not transition, but I was very set on once I'm done with my own wrestling career, then we can start a wrestling school. And then Jake Navarro came to me and Fox and was like, let's do this now. And it sort of just happened out of like circumstance where we were and where Jake was and the way it came up. And then I was like, shit, I don't know if I'm ready for this. But now doing it, like in my head at first, I was like, wow, I'm going to have a place to train now, because every other wrestling school was an hour away and I wasn't enjoying the training there. So we could create our own place to train selfishly for myself. But now in teaching others, I don't want to say I learn more, but I become a much more well-rounded wrestler myself and performer, and like, because it's forced us to teach how to teach something and to promote our own shows and to book and run our own shows. And it's made me so much more well-rounded as a performer, and I'm better for it for sure.
And like, once you started to get in there and start training guys, did you sort of like find that extra spark and love for the business, like being around people that are so like fresh and green into pro wrestling? Like,
yeah.
Or was it just like, or were you like the grizzled vet going, you fucking
Not at all. I fucking love wrestling. Like, love it. Oh, look at this is my office. Like, I love wrestling. And like, again, I wasn't enjoying my training at other schools, and even certain wrestling promotions. Like, I was just around people and I wasn't not enjoying the wrestling. I wasn't enjoying the environment. And this is still to this day, the most important thing we said at Relentless is we want to create a safe space where we can come and enjoy wrestling. And it's not old timers and grizzled people being assholes and, sometimes just being bad people, and it was like, nah, like all this shit that we didn't like, we're going to create change. And our whole goal is that we want to leave wrestling better, in a better place than where we found it. And a lot of things too were like, we don't have tryouts at our school, and we said at Relentless, we're open to everyone. Like, if you are willing to come to our school and to pay your money for a training session, even if it's just one, we will give you everything. We're not going to make you do a tryout and make you do 1,000 squats and then say, sorry, you didn't make it, because it's our job to help you get fit enough to get to a level. Because some people do, they come and they only get halfway through the warm-up their first session, and then the next session they get 3/4 and then they get through it. And then the next time they do the warm-up and then a little bit. And that's our job as trainers, to help teach and train these people to get to there. So, it's definitely been like changing and being in that environment we've created. It's almost like re-sparked me, because I was hating a lot of the wrestling, at least here in Australia. And I credit to Wrestle Pro or Creative Pro New Jersey. I literally said, I want our school to be as much like what Pat Buck and Kevin Matthews have made there, because I loved my time there. Like, I would move there in a heartbeat if I could. So I was like, let's make that here. And it's been, real refreshing to have positive, like-minded people who love the business just like me, because, even the little things like how you get into the ring, I love teaching that stuff.
Yeah, because it's like, like a lot of like wrestling fans probably wouldn't even realize there's a certain way to even get in the ring, carefully and safely, and that's, but also there's all these other little nuances as well. It's like, where people that may not know how to behave backstage at a wrestling show, or how not, you know what I mean? Like, but being able to teach people that as well, it's like, hey, this is how you need to present yourself as one of the one of the men and women or the people involved backstage,
And that's one of the things when we started the school, I was like, am I qualified enough? Or do I have the runs on the board to be qualified to teach people? And then I was like, well, I looked around and I was like, well, I have more qualifications than some other trainers. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I've made plenty of mistakes. And my whole philosophy going was learn from my mistakes so you don't have to make them yourself. So I might not be able to teach you everything, and no trainer can, but I can teach you what I've done that was wrong and how to not do them things, so you'll already be ahead of where I was at your time in your career. So I was like, sweet, they can learn from my mistakes so they don't have to make them themselves. And a lot of those things are, yes, backstage, because again, I say it every day, the real working in wrestling happens outside the ring, and it's so much more important to know that and to be a good person than it is to be a good wrestler.
100%. You mentioned as well, like your in-ring style improved once you started the school and started training regularly there. What areas of your game improved that you noticed that were just like, holy shit?
Every little detail. So I've always sort of trained once or twice a week. Like, it would take most of the wrestling schools from where I live are at least about an hour away, between 45 minutes to an hour. So like we said, you go to the gym, go to work for a full day's work, then drive an hour to training, and then train for 2 hours and drive home. And I would be so tired. And just from getting that 1 hour in, and then sometimes you get there and the trainer you do half the warm up and then just talks for the whole session. You don't get to get in there And that's the one thing we're big on. We're like, when you come to train, we will make sure we have a like the training session. If you get nothing out of it, you will get ring work out of it because you're getting in there. We're not just going to make you drive all the way here, because some of our students do drive, 2 hours. We're not going to make them come to just sit and listen to us talk. They can message us or call us if they're going to do that. Yes, you will learn a lot more probably from that, but we want to make sure you get, and little things like making sure I get the most out of every single movement in my body, because like you said about little things like nuances, I'm a details person. Every step, how many seconds you hold your pose for, which way you face, which way you turn. I'm very particular on all of that, and it's just tidied all that up. And also like just having a match every second day, you're going to get better. Like it's inevitable.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is getting those reps in, getting that continuous training in. It's only going to make it someone a better overall performer.
That's the best thing people can do, like the reps. It's just getting reps in. And like, we don't live in the United States or even England where you can wrestle 5 times a week. Because you wrestle in front of a crowd 5 times a week, you're going to get better. Whereas we don't have that here. We don't have a show 5 days a week. So we're going to have to try and create that in some form, which we're trying our best to with training.
Do you think Australia will get there to having like shows like 5, 6, 7 days a week?
Nah. So when my last 3 or 4 weeks of my USA tour, the big one at least I did in 2019, I wrestled 5 times a week, and it was amazing. I wrestled Wednesday through till Sunday. Mondays and Tuesdays are off because over there, like Monday nights is Monday Night Raw, so no one has shows. And it was like Tuesday, I don't know why, but they just sort of lead into the week like that. Mm-hmm. Their population is so big, and ours just isn't. And not just that, like Australian culturally, like we just don't. I don't know, like they worship their celebrities over there so differently, and you can't explain it unless someone's been there. But like over there, like they will like at the merch table, like they'll say, "Oh, photos are $5," and they'll say, "No, take 10. Like you deserved it. Like you were so good." Whereas over here, it's like, "Oh, a photo, it's like $5," and they're like, "I'm not paying to take a photo with you." So like, and it's like, what? It's like, "Oh yeah, wrestling." It's like, "Oh, we'll go sometimes," because I don't know, just culturally, it's not the same. We don't have the same demographic, and we don't have the same population. So no, I don't think we'll ever get to 5, 6 days a week. But I know towards the end of 2018, start of 2019, at least in Melbourne, I was wrestling 2 to 3 times a week. Like every Friday, Saturday, there was a show. There was sometimes shows on Sundays. That's why we with Mayhem tried running Sunday shows, because we wanted to open up the wrestling scene so more people would run Sundays. And then, so that was possible, but then it sort of slowed down, and then COVID hit, and then it's going to take a little while to build back up to that if we ever do. But I think a lot of even the economy is going to take factor in, because if people don't have money to spend, they don't have it. Our cost of living is through the roof. So going out is, So no 5 days a week, but definitely, twice a week is possible for sure.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, you mentioned, you guys doing shows. How did you find going from wrestler to trainer to promoter and started putting on events?
We, with Mayhem Pro, we ran our first show, I want to say, I think start of 2019 or end of 2018. And they were on Sundays, which was a lot harder. And like after the first show, like it was a good show. Like we didn't lose money, but we didn't make money. We sort of broke even. But it was more so like, I was like, wow, this was such a learning experience. I think every wrestler, once they're 5 years in, should have to run their own show. But asterisk, they have to run their own show with their own money. Because if you're using someone else's money, it doesn't matter. Like, there's no stress. Yeah. Like, I don't give a fuck if people don't come. I don't care how much that wrestler costs. I don't care how much the hot dogs cost and what we sell them for. Like, that factors in so much of it. And when it's your money and you don't have much of it to begin with, that's why we stopped running, because I was like, I want to go overseas and do all these things, and I can't do it if I keep putting money into running shows. But then obviously with the wrestling school, again, it's a different experience. But all right, we need to do this better. And every time we run a show, it's got better. Even today, we're talking about, instead of doing 2 loads with 2 trailers, let's just hire 2 trailers. Little things like that, like logistics and where you buy things. It's so important. And like the booking the show is the easiest part.
Yeah.
And that's why whenever wrestlers come like, I want to help. It's like, sweet. Can you help fucking go pick up the hot dogs? And they're like, I meant like booking ideas. It's like, nah, fuck off. You want to book a show, go pay your own money. Like the booking's fine. That's the easy shit. We need help with everything else. But yeah, it's learning experiences, but we do it because we fucking love the business. You know, we want wrestling to be better in this country.
Oh, absolutely. And it's definitely gotten better in this country over the last, few years. And even in the last couple of years now, you're starting to see more Australians, showing up in prominent spots in large promotions and doing well, and I think that's, really sort of, a testament to what the level of performers that we have here. And now that the rest of the world are starting to take notice.
Yeah, it's a combination of things. Like, yes, the wrestlers being good is one part, but like guys like Robbie Eagles and Jonah or Bronson Reed and Elliot Sexton or Duke Hudson, Buddy Murphy, classic. Like these guys have been great for like 10 years. Like when 100%. I first broke into the business, I remember being like, how the fuck are these guys not signed? It wasn't because they weren't good enough. They were just as ready then, but because they'd all sort of gone overseas and trained and gotten great, but we just didn't have shows that were good enough to showcase them. And we weren't good enough at capitalizing on the internet and YouTube. And that's another thing with Mayhem Pro. We're like, all our shows are going to be for free on YouTube because we don't care about making, sure, if 5 people buy the show, we might make an extra $50, but fuck that. We'd rather our wrestlers be seen, around the world. So now instead of having, 50 people pay $10, we made $0 on the online, but we don't care because 2,000 people seen the show. So I think these wrestlers getting good was the first step. Then those wrestlers helping the shows get better quality wise, but also it took a lot of like promoting, and the business side of wrestling is so far behind and catching up now. Things like DMDU being on IWTV is massive. And I remember saying this at the time, I'm like, this is a fucking groundbreaker. So there's a whole combination of that. But these wrestlers are going overseas again. Now that they're there, again helps us, rising tides help all ships, so we all rise together.
Oh, 100%. And I think as well, I think hardcore wrestling fans will sort of like see a name that they see on NXT or AEW and then Google that person. Oh, this person had a match with XYZ. Who's this? You know what I mean? You find yourself going through a rabbit hole. I do it all the time. If I see someone I don't know, I'm like, oh, what's this person's deal? Go to Cage Match. Oh, they had a match against this person. Oh, who's this? But you know what I mean? And then it's like, it's 4 a.m.
And I see it happen all the time with me. Like fans all the time will be like, hey, do you know this person? I'm like, yeah, I had this whole feud with them over this title for like 6 months. Or do you know this person? Or have you ever seen this company? I'm like, yeah, I wrestled there. But people don't, and this is another thing about living in Australia. We live in a small bubble, so we expect everyone to know our shit. And when you go overseas, it's like, wow, nobody knows our stuff. And I think that's a real humbling experience. And you just got to keep that in mind that we are in such a small bubble. We need to keep promoting ourselves and branching out and showing people, hey, this is what we do. This is what we can do. This is what we have to. And it's gotten me heat at times about other wrestlers because, again, Australia's culture is don't be a fig jam. Don't be a show off. Don't promote yourself because that's being a wanker. Whereas in the United States, they are much more naturally self-righteous than us. They will be like, this is me and this is everything I've done and how good is it? And everyone's like, yeah, you know what? That is good. Whereas over here, everyone's like, don't be a wanker. Why are you talking yourself up? So it's such a hard thing to navigate, but it's something we got to break. And I didn't care. I just copped the heat and I said, fuck it. I'm going to promote myself. And more wrestlers are doing that now. And it's great because then it helps make that bridge for us.
Yeah. And I think, but it's the same sense, like when it looks like you look at prize fighters, like MMA fighters and boxers, people go, oh, that fighter's cocky. And my response is always to that. Yeah, could you imagine Muhammad Ali coming out back in the day going, yeah, Joe Fraser, good chance he's going to beat the living fuck out of me tonight. You know what I mean? Yeah, no fighter is going to come out and say that. And I think in the world of wrestling, like self-promotion, make the most noise, put the asses in the seats.
And we have social media. I know I was an early adapter of like Instagram. Yeah. And I used to have like an Instagram frame and I would take it to shows. And at the merch table, I would say, anyone can have a photo with me in this Instagram frame that I would hold. But I said, you have to follow me on Instagram. And, and it helped me grow my following on Instagram immensely. And it was like, wow, this matters. I remember Scotty Too Hotty pulling me aside and be like, that's fucking great. That's a great idea. Like, don't stop that. Yeah. And just little things. And at the time, people were like, oh, why are you trying to get people to follow you on Instagram? I'm like, why would I not? I'm trying to build a fucking brand. And then I had other local Aussie wrestlers be like, "You're not a brand, you're just a wrestler." And I'm like, "Well, you don't get the business because this is a business and we are all brands as our characters." But it's been a big learning experience for everyone, and it's getting so much better. And this is why so many more Aussies and Aussie promotions are doing great things.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's funny because a friend of mine that wrestles here in Sydney, he went to a work conference thing where Triple H was speaking, and someone says like, "What do you look for in a professional wrestler?" And he was like, "Well, depends, marketability, like look, like how you talk, what your social media skills are." But no, but like their social media skills. And I said, "Oh, but what about a good professional wrestler?" And Triple H was like, "No, I can teach them how to do all that
Exactly.
shit." Like it's the shit that they can't teach. That, like you said, the marketability of a performer of a brand, because that's what you are as an individual that's putting yourself out there.
Yeah, and that's why you see, and like it's inevitable. If you have enough buzz, you'll get picked up by a company. Like it's proofs in the pudding. If you can get yourself over and you can, because again, wrestling business, this is about making money. So if you can put asses in seats and put t-shirts on bodies and sell tickets, then a wrestling company or any business would be stupid not to jump on that. So that's exactly right. It's a business. We're brands.
Do you think it's hard for like some, like, because like, yeah, your character is a pretty cool character, you know what I mean? Like come out
Thanks.
Well, it is. It's like, come out that sort of that brash arrogance, cockiness. Do you find like that with the way that the world is now, like as far as like the Karens of the world and the sensitivity of the world, that it's hard for like wrestlers to really push the envelope? And I'm not saying coming out there and making hate speech or anything like that, but pushing the envelope to either get heat or to get themselves over. Do you find it more challenging? Do you think it's more challenging now for performers than what it was 15 years ago?
I think people who say that, and they do, and I can see why they say that, but that's just a cop-out. It's the same as when wrestlers say, "Oh, kayfabe's dead." And it's like, no, kayfabe's just changed. And, you just have to adapt with the business. Like the wrestling business evolves and changes, and you can't stop it. So there's those two mindsets. There's, "Oh, this isn't how wrestling should be. It should be like this, like we used to do back in the day." And it's like, well, you're not wrong, but you've got to adapt it to what's current. And then there's people that go too far the other way and they're like, "This is everything we're doing." And they forget the actual art of wrestling. You got to bring the two together. And it's the same with that push the envelope stuff. You can still push the envelope. We did with Deathmatch Down Under, we did storyline that we would, like pre-COVID, it was, Richie Taylor was, he was the champion and I was calling him out. And Richie Taylor is a recovering alcoholic. And we tapped into that. And I ripped him and I said, "You can't handle your alcohol." And I come out and I drink White Claws to the ring. And I was like, "You're not a champion. You're not even half of me." I'm like, "You can't even handle your alcohol because you're a recovering alcoholic." This is all, within the show and everything's approved. And it's like, well, we pushed the fucking envelope there. It's not something 100%. I would say personally, but like there's ways to do that and ways to do it right. And I think you just got to be smart about it. And that's the problem. People just either they want to be offensive and they don't have like a reason to it. And yeah, I think it's just you got to be smarter and you got to adapt. But it's always been like that. It's just things evolve and things change. And yes, the world, like there's probably less things that you could do and say now that you could 20 years ago
100%.
to get heat. But again, heat has changed. Heat has adapted. The way fans view wrestling is adapted because guess what? Vince McMahon came out and told everyone that wrestling's not real.
Yeah.
So 100%. Like that changed everything as well. So yeah, I think having your finger on the pulse is more important than ever.
But I think as well, it doesn't forces you, but like get creative. You know what I mean? Like if you can't be offensive or something like that, or for whatever reason, work out a way on how you can get yourself the reaction that you need to get it.
Yeah, and like I think anyone can come out and do this and go up to someone's face and say "fuck you," and that person's either gonna go away and say "I'm not going to this show again," or they're gonna be like "fuck you, I hate you," which is cool. But if you can tap into something deeper than that, than just saying "hey, fuck you," then you've got then there's that's the art of wrestling is to get people's emotions and to have them in the palm of your hand, whichever way you're trying to push them, whatever your story is. And yeah, I think it's just people need to be willing to adapt and change. And yeah, there's a lot of, "hey, this is the way it is," or "the way it should be," or "the way it used to be." And it's like, Well, you can say that as much as you want, but you can't change the world's opinion. You can only, influence it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think as well, like it's, you can be a heel and a bad guy without being a shit human being and putting, individuals down as well.
Can I say something? So, like when we came back from COVID, I'd been especially in Melbourne, I'd been a babyface almost my entire career. And I was like, all right, I've been wrestling for 9 years now. I've just had all this experience overseas, and I want to fully flip my gimmick. I don't want to come back from COVID and be the same JXT doing the same shit that I've done. I'm like, I need to evolve. Same thing. I was coming out to dance party music with tassels and all this purple. And I was like, cool. That was cool when I was 24 and I was going to nightclubs every weekend. But I'm old. I'm in my late 20s now. I'm older and people have seen me grow up. And the people that haven't seen me don't look at me and think, oh, young party kid. So the character needed to evolve. All right, I'm going to turn heel. And I remember at the time they were like, oh, well, you can't sell merch now. And I'm like, no, I can sell merch. And they're like, well, that's not a real heel. Again, old school people with that mindset of this is how wrestling should be. And I was like, no, motherfucker, I will show you how a modern heel works, because modern heels still sell merch. MJF is the best heel in the business. And guess what? He still has t-shirts on prowrestlingtees.com.
Yeah.
So and I watched him and I sat with him and I remember asking him questions. And I was like, and I watched him do this and I was like, this guy's a fucking genius. And that's the thing, wrestling just evolved. And so, yeah, you're right. Being a heel doesn't mean just being a shit person and, ripping people or even being like, I don't talk to fans. No, fuck that, because they're either going to be two ways. They're either going to hate you for real on the show or the fans that know are going to come along for the ride. Yeah. And I think we just had I think it was Josh commented on here, oh, JXT is one of the best heels in the business. And there's case in point.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, as you said, it's the wrestling business has evolved. Kayfabe has evolved. There's different things. It's wrestling fans are smartened up to a lot of stuff. Yeah, I'd probably say a lot of wrestling fans think they're probably more smartened up to what they actually are.
And you know what? They're the best fans to work.
100%.
Because they think they know, right? They think they know how this all works. And you let them, and that's another thing too. So with all this, Vince McMahon came out and said, good guy versus bad guy. And, they know how this works to an extent. All right. So fans, and this is why people turn off wrestling. People hate getting their intelligence insulted. Anyone that says, wrestling, I hate that stuff. Well, have you ever watched it? No, I would never watch that, because they hear that it's fake and they don't want to be tricked. It's like magic. Some people don't like magic because they don't want to be tricked, because they know it's not real, but they don't know how, and they hate feeling stupid. So they want the wool pulled over their eyes. So you don't have to. It's the same as, I think you should treat it like you go to a movie, you pay your ticket, you enter the theater, and that, The Rock in Fast and the Furious can't really jump out of fucking aeroplanes and do all this bullshit that he's doing. But you suspend your disbelief for the movie, and he's not playing The Rock. He's playing whatever his character is.
Yeah.
So it's the same with wrestling, because the fans that know it's wrestling are the same fans that know it's a movie. So they're going to come along for the ride if you treat them with that same respect. Then there's fans that aren't going to believe. And if you keep a credibility to you, you'll get them too. And that's, again, the art of working. What professional wrestling is, you find a way to get everyone in the palm of your hand and you tell those stories.
Yeah. I mean, dude, I told this story on the show before that, I took a friend of mine to a show here in Sydney, and he wasn't he didn't hate wrestling. He just didn't watch it. Right. So I brought him I said, hey, come to a show with me, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, cool. So went out, watched the show, first match, from bell to bell. From that first match, he was just he was jumping up and down. He's grabbing, he's like, bro, what the fuck? And I'm like, all right, bro, chill. All right.
And you're sitting there going, what? I've seen this a million times. And he's like, he just flipped the guy.
And so, no, I was kind of like that kid with the embarrassing moments. Going, just fuck, be cool, bro.
Yeah. Popping off your hip toss, and you're like, shut up.
But that's the thing, man. It's those people that can sort of suspend that disbelief, and like my friend did, and lose himself in that moment and enjoy what is happening in front of him, and just accepting what is for what it is. You know what I mean?
Exactly. We with Mayhem Pro, we wrestle in a regional area. It's called Bacchus Marsh. It's near where I live in Melton. It's a country town, and I've got close ties with the local footy club where I played, and the whole footy club comes to watch these shows. And it's amazing, and they're rowdy and feral, and drunk.
That's awesome.
And again, they all know. Like, they talk to me all the time. They're like, how does this work? And how does that work? Right? But they come to this show because they're either casual fans or they're non-fans. They've never seen wrestling before. And obviously, all my friends' girlfriends have all never seen wrestling before.
Yeah.
And they all didn't want to come. And the boys like, no, you have to come for Josh. We have to support him. And they came and they were like, that's fucking incredible. They're like, this is amazing. They're like, how? I'm like, that's the thing. You just got to get people in the door. And if you show people, and Brian Danielson said it recently with AEW, he's like, if you show anyone good professional wrestling, they'll love it, because good professional wrestling is fucking awesome. And that's it. Like, once people, you're not telling them, hey, come to this fight, we're going to kill each other. And then they come and they watch pro wrestling. They're like, what? And they see there's a disconnect. But if you say, hey, come to this wrestling show, it's a show, it's live sports and entertainment, we're going to do pro wrestling, they lose themselves. And I tell you, you should, like, you go, it's on youtube.com/Mayhem Pro, watch the Mayhem in the March. They're rowdy and they're drunk. And when Jake Navarro picks up that chair, they are like screaming. And these are like, you know, like full adults, but like it's the best part of wrestling.
Oh, 100%, man. And, you know, that's the main thing is that to get someone excited about what's happening in front of them. And, you know, for pro wrestling, you know, in this day and age where people are like so smartened up to it, to be able to go and get those reactions that they do. And, you know, there's fans out there that criticize pro wrestling and say this is bad and that's bad. But at the end of the day, it's not bad necessarily. And I explain this to some people, and it's like, what the person who is telling them to go out and do may have a certain vision. Then that performer has a different vision altogether. And you know what I mean? Like, you can't then just sort of, you know what I mean? You can't just sort of like dismiss it and say it's shit. It's like, well, you have to look at like what goes into
those people that are going to review that, like, they're a fan. You've already got their money. They're going to watch no matter what. And this is one thing we tell all our students at Relentless. You want to work for the lapsed, casual, or non-wrestling fan. Because the wrestling fan's going to come no matter what. They're going to pay their ticket. They're going to watch. They might shit on it, but they're going to come because they're a wrestling fan. They're already interested, and they already know what's up. The casual fan, the lapsed fan, and a non-wrestling fan, you can still get them. And if you get those three people, or those three, like, you know, areas, there'll be more of them in the crowd than the wrestling fan. And if they're loving it, guess who else is going to love it? The wrestling fan. And again, at those shows, when we've got, you know, an entire football club, and then the rest of the other people that are locals from the country, which was majority of our crowd, loving every minute. The wrestling people say, you know what, the wrestling was a bit but the crowd fucking loved it, and then they love it, you know. So it's just the way it works. If you can work to those people, you're gonna get them no matter what. And the people are gonna knock it, and that's a fan's job, you know. Like you said, you don't know what their story or what their parameters are. And we did it this week with our wrestling school. We were going through a show and we had adjusting trainees to be like, you're not a fan with an opinion anymore. You're a worker in the business, which is the difference. And we'll try and explain to them, you might think that match made no sense, but like, you don't know what their parameters were. They might've been told 15 minutes, it got cut to 4. You don't know like what they could and couldn't do, or they're like, what's going to happen before and after. Like, and often with shows, you do something like, it would have been much better, but we had to do it this way because we had this, and this. And later in the show, there was this. Before that match was this. There's so many factors. And especially when you book a show, like your proposed card never comes out the way that you like lay it out ever. You know what I mean? Like, things change like so much, which is just, again, you got to go back to the core. It's all about the art of making wrestling work in any, like, with it, whatever your parameters are.
Have you ever been in a situation where like shit's changed to you, like moments before you've had a match and you've had to sort of go and do like a complete 180?
All the time. We, my second match at Impact, they told us, you know, they like shit. They're like, we have to start now. You're up in 4 minutes. And we were like, what? Oh shit. And now I'm like, holy shit, I'm trying to make a good impression here. And then they're like, all right, you guys are up. And then we're waiting and they're like, the PA's not working. There's no music, just go. And I was like, all the time that shit happens, but like that was a big time. I remember it happening, but it happens all the time. You know, or someone went too long, or someone in the match before you got hurt. We had to call the match early, or the ring broke in this area. Don't go near it. Or you know, someone can't make the show. All the time that shit happens. But that's the people that freak out. They don't know, like, it shows like their ability. Whereas if you know what you're doing, if you know how to wrestle and how to work, you're going to be fine. You'll adapt because that's wrestling. It's making the situation you're in work for the story.
Do you find like in shows like that we have here in Australia that you guys are given timelines to go out there, like even if it's not being filmed for like a fight or an independent pro wrestling TV, do you still have to go out and say, okay, right, JXT, you and such have got 6 minutes in the ring, go out there and do your thing? Or is it a little bit more freedom in that aspect for you guys?
No, definitely, especially like the last sort of 5 or 6 years. Yeah, time is huge. And like we learn this when you run shows, if your show's not finished by 10:30, guess what? People are going to leave because they've got to put the kids to bed, or they've got to go to bed, or people have work the next day, or people are tired, or whatever it is. So yeah, timing is important. But there's also times when you wrestle at the Albury show and you're like, shit, the fans are loving this. Let's fucking go for another 20 minutes. You know, it just depends on the situation. Most, you know, proper, like big, like they've booked up, they've hired a venue to put on a show with promotion and internet and online. Of course, 6 minutes, stick to your time. And when you get better at it, you know your time off the top of your head pretty much. But then again, when you work a spot show at a festival, or you know, you're at a kid's birthday party wrestling for them, you take as much time as you want, as much as they're loving it. Yeah. But yeah, more often than not, especially here in Australia, yeah, most promotions are running with hey, we want this to be as good as it can, so let's keep a short, sharp show and let's make everyone stick to their times.
Yeah, 100%. Have you ever wrestled at a kid's birthday party before? That was very specific.
Yeah, I did I won't go. I don't know how much they want me to tell, but I've done many times, and even when I was in, I've done them here in Melbourne. We did a 21st birthday, I think it might have been an 18th. And we took them through like a basic training session, like rolls, running the ropes, all that crap. And then awesome. We taught the birthday boy enough to where he could give a clothesline and a body slam. And I worked a whole 10-minute match on the fly with the birthday boy.
That's awesome.
Who had just been trained like in front of his friends like that day. But like, yeah, like they're those situations where if you know how to work and protect yourself, like I carried this random birthday boy through his first ever match in front of all his friends on his 18th. Like, you know, we've done stuff like that. And then in New York for WrestlePro, we had these guys, they ran a school. So they were like the school's committee. And they were like, oh, to raise money for the school, we'll put on a wrestling show. So they paid a WrestlePro for this show. And the 4 main guys that were dads of the students, one of them was the principal. They were like, they wanted to be in the match. And we were like, what? So 4 weeks out, they would come to training once a week on the Monday. And myself, Justin Carino, I'm trying to remember, Bad Apple, Matt McIntosh, and Anthony Bowens from the Acclaim. Yeah. Us 4 would take these 4 guys, and we taught them enough to get us through this tag match. And we worked. It was like 2 of us wrestlers and 2 of the guys against the other 2. And the kids loved it because their dads and their friends' dads are in this match. And we're bumping for them. And I'm taking top rope, you know, double axe handles. And, you know, me and Bowens are in there bumping for these guys. But, yeah, that's amazing. One of my most fun times ever.
That's incredible. But that's also moments that these guys would, like, go on for the rest of their lives and hold on to as well.
Oh, and I think the guy that sort of came up with it, like, he was a big wrestling fan. Like, he had an NWO shirt. He loved Scott Hall. He came out to, like, a remix of Razor and Scott Hall's theme song. I still got him on Instagram. The guys are really cool. And he was a detective for the NYPD. And he gave me, like, a special lapel pin with his business card. And it was, like, a special gift. He's like, thank you for training me and putting me through all this. Like, it was the best day of my life. It made my son's, like, day. And I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. You know, I'm just some kid from fucking country Australia. And I'm teaching the detective with NYPD how to take bumps and put on a show for his kid. Like, how cool is that?
But that's a pretty cool moment. Like, you know, for a dad to be a hero in front of his kid who's a high school age student. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty dope. You know what I mean?
I think I've got it here. Give me a second. But it's one of the most different experiences I've had for sure.
What's probably been the most like what the fuck?
There it is.
Let me make it big screen 1 second. Here you go.
There you go. You see that? I shouldn't put his number on there, hey?
Yeah, we do have
his business card, but like
that is awesome.
Yeah, Elvis. His whole NYPD. Yeah, it was awesome, you know? Like and like that's cool to me. Like I kept that. Like if I never go to the United States again because I can't, because I need a work visa, I need someone to bloody sign me. Like, I had like one of those, like that as a moment. Like, that's cool.
Yeah, 100%. And what's been your biggest, like, all right, what's been the biggest what the fuck moment in your career?
Where do I start?
Is the list that long, bro?
Many moments where like you've got a booker who is not a wrestler or just was never in the wrestling business, just was a wrestling fan who had money and said, "Hey, I want to run a show." And I remember them saying to me, they had us in this ladder match because, again, of course, money, promoters with money, they always want to see ladder matches and TLC and all that bullshit. And it was like, I was thinking that you do this thing where you springboard and you jump from this ladder and you onto that ladder and do this thing. And I was like, that's not fucking possible. Like, I don't know who you think I am. I'm not athletic. It's an illusion.
Or Spider-Man.
Like, I've got you who's never fucking, taken a bump, telling me how I'm going to jump from ladder to ladder and do a move. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, I can't do that, man. Like, I can't physically do that.
Yeah.
There's heaps of them. There's been plenty. But
because I think that's the thing. If you're a promoter and you've never been a wrestler, like or you're a booker, you have to be a certain level of like common sense when you're going up to another human being and going. It's almost like being a boss of someone and never doing their job before and not knowing what the fuck that they do.
It shows. It always shows. It's like, like when the workers are like, well, you don't know, you can't run this because you don't know what we're doing or going through. And it's common. But at the end of the day, if they're paying, you got to make them happy as best you can. Because, if anyone in Australia or even especially Victoria has money in a ring is going to run a show, let me know. And if you pay me enough, I'll wrestle. But it's just, making sense of it is often hard. And sometimes you just got to say, you know what? This makes no sense. This is stupid. And the fans are going to hate it. But I'm just going to take my money and leave and just not let it worry me. Because, sometimes it's not worth the battle.
How long in your career did it take you to realize that?
I'm still realizing I care too. I love wrestling too much, and I have too much of a care. In America, it wasn't as bad because I don't give a fuck about like what happens in some fucking bullshit show in Delaware. But I care about what happens in my state of Victoria. Like I want wrestling in my country, especially where I live, to be better and to be good and to have a quality and to have a standard. So I want it to at least make sense. Like, sure, the way this match is booked and whatever, it might be shit and the shows that might not be the best. But if I'm going to be on it, I'm going to try and make what I'm doing and my part and what I do be as good and best I can. So at least these people go, oh, I wasn't that big a fan of the show, but at least, that JXT guy, I enjoyed his match. Or what happened there, At least give them something, So here, that's just, again, we started our own wrestling school and wrestling company, probably based off a little of that. But overseas, I didn't give a fuck because I don't care because I'm not, I guess, not invested, but it's going to happen regardless of what I say. And that's the thing, like that story I just told, that promoter was like, sweet. And then 2 shows later, they just never booked me again, never spoke to me again. And they're still doing that same shit, just someone else, So that's when we started at wrestling school, we said this is again, like without not having the tryout, like people are going to do this. Like people are going to buy their own rings, run their own shows no matter what. Me saying, no, your show sucks, doesn't help it get better. But if I say, yes, I'll come and do my best and help as much as I can, it's going to help at least bring the level of quality and help improve it. Because it's going to happen no matter what, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So try and help and make it as best I can. But sometimes you just got to cut your losses and be like, you know what? I tried my best. It ain't getting better. And I can only put my name to it for so long. I put myself through it and you just leave. But it only really happens here. I don't give a shit overseas. Because again, they're going to do their shows no matter what, and I'm only there for a limited time, so it doesn't matter if I fucking do this stupid idea or not. Nah, because no one's probably going to see it, and I'm going to be gone in a week's time anyway, back home to Australia.
So, it's definitely a positive way to look at it, and at least then you've got a funny story to tell when you come back.
Exactly. Like I wrestled on Grimm's Toy Show. Have you heard of that?
No, what's
wrestling.
That?
All right.
So actually, yes, I have. Sorry,
it's
I have,
huge.
Yes.
I didn't realize how big it was. Like, still to this day, I have fans like, "Oh, Grimm's Toy Show, you were on Grimm's," and I was like, "It is like millions of viewers and followers and diehard." And I remember at the time, other wrestlers being like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that shit. It's not real wrestling. It's backyard wrestling." And I'm like, "Nah, this wrestling show company has like buzz," and I did it. And again, it was like wrestling in this backyard and not really like wrestling. Like we shot it like a movie, so we did different takes and we did an elbow drop like that. Look, shit, stop, let's do it again. But like one of the best things I did because I got such a following from it. And again, like wrestling's about the experiences. Like if my career ends tomorrow, at least I had these experiences, you know?
Oh, dude, 100%. So, like, were the matches like cinematic style matches?
Sort of. So we'd film and just like a show, we wouldn't stop. But if there was something big or like they're like, oh, they got the table and they set the table up, and I was like, that table has fucking nails standing out of it, man. Cut. I'm not fucking jumping through that. You know, these guys didn't care. They were just like on their weekends backyard wrestling, whereas I'm like, nah, I've got to wrestle tomorrow, dude. I'm not jumping on that. It's got nails in it, so we had to stop. Swapped, got a new table. All right, go. But like, yeah, if you check that out, Grimm's Toy Show, if you just search JXT GTS or Grimm's Toy Show, yeah, it's huge. But
I've heard about it, but I've never seen it, so I'm definitely.
I was the same until I did it, and then it changed my life.
Oh man, that is some crazy ass shit. But yeah, as far as like we are getting to that 1 hour mark, but like post COVID, like what are your goals and ambitions now coming? We're looking to be coming out of COVID hopefully in the next month or so.
Hopefully,
what's on the top of the list for JXT?
For JXT is to wrestle as much and as often as possible. Now, I tried it like obviously during in between our 600 lockdowns. I wrestled as much as I could, and I was pretty lucky. Like I got 2 trips to Sydney out of it, and I still did a fair bit considering how locked down we were. But yeah, I just it's killed me these last 2 years just not being able to wrestle. So I can't go to the United States without a work visa legally. So I need to get signed, and I need to get noticed somehow. And I'm not going to get noticed sitting on my couch. So I'm going to be doing as much wrestling as I can. And again, trying to promote it and branch out and even doing shows like this, you know, like some wrestlers be like, oh, fuck, podcast or whatever it is. Why would I do that? You know, it's not going to do anything for me. Like every little bit helps. You know what I mean? So doing as many shows like this with guys like you helping me and wrestling and just getting myself out there on top of obviously opening our wrestling school, getting that going and Mayhem Pro and running those shows. And yeah, just being involved in wrestling again is as much as possible is the goal.
And as far as like, you mentioned getting signed, if I could obviously, look into a crystal ball or give you, the open book of any booking yourself in any promotion around the world, where would you want to get signed? What would be the promotion for you?
If for me, and again, like you got to look like the experiences. I have AEW has the most of my friends there, and looking at their schedule and the way it works, I'm like, oh, that'd be amazing. I could go and live where I lived, live on Kevin Matthews' couch again, and hang out with Janela every week like we did, and be on the same show again with guys like Bowens, and just be like, being around familiar people, and just being around your friends and wrestling full time for a living on one of the biggest wrestling companies in the world. Like, how cool would that be? That's one of the things I think I took away from my trips in the States is, like, yes, you have to be a little selfish in the wrestling side of things and where you get your opportunities and pushing and hustling and what you do. But at the end of the day, it's about the experiences with your friends, and having all these experiences. So, like, I have more friends in AEW than any other company. So that's my main reason. But, like, I don't have a preference. Anything that can make me a full-time professional wrestler, which has been my life goal forever, I'm taking it.
Has there been any, like obviously, you can not say if you don't want to, but has there been any interest shown from anyone major companies at this stage?
Not recently. I've had 3 WWE tryouts. When AEW was starting, I was meant to be flying over and they were going to be in the same town and I was going to be there. I obviously worked for Impact. And there was a Ring of Honor training session that I was invited to that didn't end up happening. Like, there's been heaps of that stuff.
Yeah.
WWE keep in contact with me quite regularly. But like, there's never been like, hey, we're thinking of signing you. So I'm obviously not good enough in some way. So I've got to keep hustling, keep working, keep grinding, and keep trying. But in the last 2 years with nothing happening, it's been quite hard. There's talent out here living in Australia that are signed and they still can't get into, go to wrestle. So what chance do I have,
What did WWE say after your tryouts? Like, did they give you any feedback, or is it just? Well, I'm just saying, any of them. Did they like? Did they give you feedback?
It's quite the most, I guess. Like, it's funny, like we joke about it, but it's pretty sad. You go through like a depression after every one of these tryouts because you're so close. The first one was at NXT Melbourne, so like that's one like Rhea Ripley got signed off that. Dakota Kai was there. Indy Hartwell was there. So like that was cool because we all did this tryout, but that wasn't like you're a standout or we'll be in touch. Like that just happened and it was what it was. It was all the core of the top Australians, I guess. But like the one in 2019, like I flew out there and it's like they flew me to Orlando, put me in a hotel to do a 3-day tryout at the Performance Center. So it's not just, I'm at Margaret Court Arena in Melbourne. It was like, no, you're actually here at WWE in our Performance Center with all of our coaches in our training facility. And, you do the whole session and, and I'm obviously talking to everyone I know that was currently in WWE, like this is what happened this day and that day. And then they said this and then they're like, all right, don't do that. Like they're giving me advice and they're like, it sounds really good. Like, all this feedback's great. And it's funny because WWE is very like, you can and can't, like there's unwritten rules.
Yeah.
And there's, I think, like 30 of us on the tryout. And they go, all right, that's it. Tryout's done, blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Everyone go get your stuff and walk out that door. And please, everyone, don't stay around and we can't stick around, and answer any more questions because we have a flight to catch. They don't, but they just say that because, of course, after you try it, everyone wants to go up and be like, hey, thank you so much. Is there anything I can improve on? Do you have any advice for me specifically? Which everyone would have done. And they still sort of didn't with it. All right, thank you very much. And then they said, we don't want to do the handshake thing. And then they did that. And then I didn't, but everyone else went up and they're like thanking the trainers and shaking their hands. And I'm like, well, it's going to look bad if I don't do this. And I'm sort of standing, I'm like, all right. And I thank Canyon Seaman. And then I walk over to, I was like, oh, fuck, I guess I get a line up and shake their hand because if I'm the only one that doesn't, I look stupid. And William Regal's got like this line of people and he just stops everyone. He can fuck with them. He goes, you come with me. And I'm like, oh, fuck, what have I done? I'm like, I'm done. Career's ended.
Yeah.
And he just fucking, like, this whole line is waiting for him. And he just said, no, fuck them, pull me aside. And he gave me like half an hour of advice on like, when working here, what you should do and shouldn't do and how you should work and where you should sort of focus yourself. And like, you as a wrestler, you have like when you're being trained by someone and they get physical with you, as in like they start like giving you actual strikes and then they're moving and then they put you in a hold. And like Regal's grabbing me and like, see when he grabs you like this, reverse it like that. And he's giving me this full like half-hour session and I could listen to Regal speak forever. Like listening to his knowledge is like, of course he's the trainer there because he's amazing. And he just picked me out to give me, and he's like he's punching me in the guts and I'm like, this is amazing. And he's like, yeah. And they pull me aside before that to say, like, your fundamentals are immaculate. And I was like, well, thank you. Because a lot of the training, because there's people on the tryout that have never wrestled before. So a lot of it is basic until you get towards the end. And yeah, he's like, look, he goes, yeah, your fundamentals are amazing. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll be watching you and we'll be in touch. And I was like, all right, cool. And that was the last thing they said. But which is even more frustrating because it's like, well, clearly I'm good enough to wrestle, but I'm missing something, but they don't tell you what it is. And it's like, all right. And that's why when I came back, I was like, okay, I'm not going to just do the same shit. I've got to evolve, which is why I turned heel. New gear, new look, new attitude, new character. I'm like, all right, I've got to be something different. So when they see me next, I'm not going to be just the same. They're going to see that I've evolved and that I can grow and that I can work. But then we've had 2 years of nothing. So go live.
Man, it's one of those things, a crazy time in the world, man. And I think especially for a lot of talent, in professional wrestling that have want to put shows on but can't, and not have that eyes on us, because for a period of time we had like pretty much wrestling shows at full capacity. You know what I mean?
Where we had a gap there. And I was like, we're going to be the only country in the world that has full crowds and wrestling, and everyone's going to see us. It's going to be amazing. And then it flipped, and then we went back into lockdown, and everyone else opened up, and everyone forgot about us.
Yeah, that's it. But I think that that's the sad thing. But I think that when we come back this time, it's going to have that special feeling. You know what I mean? Because I think this lockdown is nearly every state has really copped it hard. And I think that this is going to be something that I think that even if wrestling fans that hadn't been to a wrestling show before that were like, yeah, I should probably go check out a wrestling show, will most likely go and check out a wrestling show because they're out of lockdown. And it's like, fuck, I didn't do it before. I think it's almost like that getting out of prison mentality.
It's brought everyone together in a way.
Yeah, dude, 100%.
And I'm hoping that the COVID situation of like lockdowns and not being able to have international travel has made not just WWE but all companies be like, wow, now international borders are open, we should look at international talent because they haven't been able to, I guess, sign anyone. It's taken 2 years for people to get over there, let alone to get any new talent. So here's hoping.
Oh, absolutely, man. And I think there's definitely going to be an influx of talent. You know, looking at Australia from, you know, multiple states where we are, is like there's so much talent here that could easily get signed next week.
Yeah.
And no one would question it.
Exactly. And also, exactly what I told our students is be ready, because lockdown might end tomorrow and you want to be looking good, in shape, having your gear ready, being your character down pat. You want to be ready to go, because if, you know, WWE might turn around tomorrow and be like, we're doing an Australian tryout in January, or AEW might say, hey, we're touring Australia in February and there's going to be dark elevation tapings and we need local talent. And I'm going to be here like, hey, JXT, nice to meet you. 10 years of wrestling experience, and I've worked and trained with them, and I'm ready to go, and I will sign your contract tomorrow.
Well, you're definitely willing and eager, but you know, JXT, we are getting to that just past that 1 hour mark. It is time for 60 seconds with Piers. How this is going to work, I'm going to fire a bunch of questions off at JXT. He's got 60 seconds to answer as many as he can. JXT, when you are ready, you give me the notice and we'll get started.
All right, let's do it. Fucking send it.
What was the first concert you ever went to?
AC/DC with my dad.
What was the name of your first car?
Ford Falcon AU 2002 XR6, baby.
Yeah. Which celebrity was your first crush? Oh,
Trish Stratus.
Nice. What is the weirdest thing you have eaten?
I can't say on here. Crocodile.
It's uncensored, bro. You can say whatever. But...
Nah. I've eaten some fucked up shit.
Okay. What is the worst gift you have ever received?
Kevin Matthews allowed me to live on his couch.
What is your biggest pet peeve?
People who to go out of their way to make someone else's life or time be like, just to be assholes for the sake of being an asshole, to ruin out someone else's day. I hate those people.
100%. You have 24 hours to spend $2 million. How do you spend it?
But either starting my own wrestling company or buying myself a green card, or every ticket in the green card lottery.
Which reality show would you rather appear on, Survivor or The Amazing Race?
Survivor actually contacted me to tell me, oh, we want you for the next series. And I went through the whole thing and they're like, yep, you're great. We're going to have you in September. Here's when it is. We'll pay you this much. They go apply for the thing and let me know. And I'm like, sweet. And then like 3 weeks later, they're like, you're not accepted. And I'm like, what the fuck? You called me. So fuck Survivor.
In 5 minutes time, you are being taken out of space. What 2 personal belongings do you take with you, excluding human beings?
Jesus. What can't I live without? Man, that's hard. 2 belongings. Jeez, I don't know. My phone? That won't work, will it? No, I'll take it anyway because it'll have phone. Nah, fuck, I don't even know. I know, a pair of knee pads and wrestling boots.
There you go. Time. There you go. That's a wrestling related question. Usually
does my wrestling ring that I bought count as 1 belonging?
I think so.
Yeah, well, there you go. Most of my friends have gone and bought houses, and I went and bought a wrestling ring.
Hey, man, why not, dude? Like, whatever you can get enjoyment out of it. What's the saying? Like, right? Spend your money now, make more later.
Yeah, it's funny. Pete Dunne, when we trained with him many times, he always said, "Fuck the money. The money will come. Just put in." I'm still putting in.
Yeah, man. But, you know, you're getting there, man. And you've had more experiences, you know, in the world of pro wrestling than a lot of guys even dream of, dude.
Thanks. It's hard to, like, it gets very easy to get drummed down in that, fuck, I wasn't good enough. I've had this many chances and these opportunities and I'm still not where I'd want to be. But then you're right. Just having this interview and going through some of these things, like, yeah, I've had some really awesome experiences. And so, yeah, it is good to reflect on.
Oh, absolutely, man. But JXT, where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they support, get some merch, and rock out with a JXT shirt or, you know, whatever other goodies you got?
We've got Relentless School of Pro Wrestling stuff. No, but wrestlermerch.com. Head on over there and go to the JXT page. There's also the Mayhem Pro page on there. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at JXT_official. Please follow me. It helps me a lot. Especially Instagram, because they've been like, not shadow banning, but when you get to a certain level, they sort of like halter your stuff. And I've hit that level, so my stuff doesn't appear as much, which is frustrating. I'm also on Twitch, twitch.tv/JXT_official every Monday night, 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. I play Call of Duty. I watch wrestling. I'm actually might be showing my new entrance video this week if I finish it in time. But I stream every Monday night. I'm on YouTube, youtube.com/JXT. I have my JXTV movie, which is 100 episodes of my vlog, which starts from, I think, 2015 or 16, where I'll vlog shows. I still do it. And it's an hour and 40 minutes of just like clips of stuff backstage. It's got Dakota Kai and Elliot Sexton. It's got Joda. It's got Mr. Kennedy, DDP, PJ Black. It's got all these different people in there, and we're all just hanging out backstage. So check that out on YouTube, and I think that's it. Follow our promotion, Mayhem Pro, on Instagram, all the socials. We have full shows, so if you want to watch me wrestle or you want to watch our promotion, it's Mayhem Pro on YouTube, or just look at my YouTube channel and go to my playlist. It's called JXT Wrestling, and it's got all my matches that are for free on YouTube. And if you want to be a pro wrestler and you live in Victoria, hit up the Relentless School of Pro Wrestling and come get trained by myself, Big Rig Fox, and Jake Navarro.
There you go, guys. Make sure you go check it all out. If we missed anything, we'll make sure that we'll share those links in the video description, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, do us a favor. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, share, comment. It goes a long way. If you're listening to us on any of the podcast platforms, hit that subscribe button. You get amazing content like this. We give you 7 shows every single week. We got Shooting the Shit. We got Nights of the Gimmick Table. We got Killing the Business. We got Get Funked. We got the Funk and Kingpin show. We got Wrestling with Sports. We got NXT Roundup. And guys, hell, we got more shows coming for you guys in the new year, because we are your one-stop shop for all your pro wrestling multimedia that you want to find. So head over and check out MWA Podcast Network everywhere where you get your content, and follow us on all social media at MWA World. Huge shout out to our sponsors, healthvape.com, that healthy vaping experience, and also sleeps.com for the athlete in your life. Make sure you use promo codes MWA Pod to get a 10% discount on your final purchase. But JXT, man, thank you so much for coming on, dude. It's always a pleasure to have you on and to shoot the shit, man, so to speak. But it's always a pleasure to have you on, man. Thank you again.
Awesome. Piers, can't thank you enough. Giving me something to do and make me feel relevant again. So I appreciate it. And look forward to hopefully being on another time and seeing you in person maybe one day when we're allowed out of our houses.
That's it, man. Guys, thank you for tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you very soon. Peace out.